Republicans are so viciously opposed to women that they're even driving their own members out over it. And according to her, and you can see Representative Paulina Luna right there, in doing so, they are blackmailing House Speaker Mike Johnson, apparently. So last night, I should say, it was revealed that Paulina Luna was quitting the House Freedom Caucus in protest over colleagues killing a bill to help new mothers. Now, bear in mind, it wouldn't help many new mothers, but it would help some new mothers. And I am in the weird position of agreeing with Paulina Luna on this issue. It does not often happen, but the reason that she gave is that she wants to allow, and she's been talking about this for some time, we've covered it before. She wants to let new mothers and fathers vote by proxy, okay? So if they have to be with their child, allow them to still cast votes in the House of Representatives from a distance, okay? That doesn't seem insane to me, but to many Republicans in Congress, that is unacceptable, okay? And I agree with her. I think it should be possible. Now, I think there's a lot more we could do for a lot more mothers and fathers than just those who happen to be in the House of Representatives, but it would be something at least. And she expanded on her reasoning in a letter that she sent to the Freedom Caucus saying, a small group among us threatened the speaker, vowing to halt floor proceedings indefinitely, regardless of the legislation at stake, including President Trump's agenda, unless he altered the rules to block my discharge petition to be able to go forward with that change. When compromise proved impossible, our own Freedom Caucus members in the House Rules Committee and a small faction of our group advocated to change our rules of governance by tying my petition to a rule that would kill it and attaching it to the SAVE Act. So that's all blah, 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 it's nonsense speak, but it's very underhanded. It's basically making it seem as if to vote for her thing, you'd have to be hurting the MAGA agenda, which isn't necessary. Why are they doing that? So you understand why she would be frustrated by that. She says the intent was clear, to misrepresent me and the members supporting this pro-life, pro-family initiative, one of the most significant in congressional history, as obstructing the president and opposing election integrity. This tactic was not just a betrayal of trust, it was a descent into the very behavior we have long condemned. The irony in all of this is that I have never voted by proxy, yet one of our own on the Rules Committee that is so adamantly opposed has done so over 30 times. That's spicy. What does threaten our institution is succumbing to the very corruption we pledged to uproot. Sadly, that is what some among us have become. She's talking about her colleagues there. The Constitution entrusts us with a sacred duty to serve, not to manipulate rules of power or to silence dissent. When we abandon that duty, we erode the very foundation we claim to defend. And so I agree with her decision to leave the Freedom Caucus. I agree with her on this issue. I do think that it is quaint that she's saying that they might soon be manipulating the rules for power or to silence dissent. Dude, you guys have been doing that a whole lot for quite some time. So I think she's being a little bit willfully blind about who the Republicans are. And it sucks that you can add this to the long list of them only getting it once it directly impacts them. But she's getting it. And she didn't just sign the letter, she left the House Freedom Caucus, so that's something. Now again, she released a second letter saying that Mike Johnson was being blackmailed over this, and I would love to hear more about that. But anyway, Jackson, what do you make of this and her decision to leave the House Freedom Caucus?
Yeah, I think, that as you pointed out, one of the big highlights is conservatives never realizing, either not caring or not thinking something's real until it touches them personally. And unfortunately, it looks like as a collective in this country, that's gonna have to happen to tens of millions of people before they realize that who we have in office matters and that politics is real and that it's not a football game and that policy is really what we need to keep our eyes on. All these stories about Trump supporters who were like, oh, I didn't think it was gonna affect me. I thought they were just gonna fire those people over there. I didn't think my programs were gonna get touched. And the frustrating thing about it is, among other things, is the Republican agenda to go after Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security is nothing new. That's been on the forefront of the Republican agenda for decades. So what, are you actually going to have to lose these things? Are your Social Security checks gonna have to be weeks late, cut in half, before it's like, oh, the people I've been voting for my whole life are crazy and don't care about me and wanna subjugate me? Maybe so.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe so.
Yeah, yeah, and when they're talking about all these changes about like upping the retirement age before you can get Social Security, like they're always like, "Hey, elderly people, don't worry, it's not going to affect you," but it's going to affect tens of millions of people. Like, are they going to get that at some point?
They're just
Yeah.
kidding. They're just kidding. They're not.
Yeah,
They're not
totally.
really going to do it.
I hope not. But anyway, yeah, I think look, this could be consequential. The negotiations between the House Freedom Caucus and the rest of the Republican caucus to get things done in the House, they have very narrow margin. They can't really afford many defections. It remains to be seen if her leaving this caucus actually affects those vote calculations. But with how tense some of these negotiations are, this could be consequential. It could result in some part of the agenda not going forward. That said, she has been a fairly reliable, true believer for the MAGA movement. So I doubt she's going to single-handedly tank any of Donald Trump's initiatives over this. But I don't know, it makes things even more dramatic and maybe more, we'll see, maybe more up in the air.